FZ6N Yamaha 2006 model. Gonna take it for a ride today, see what she's like. So this is a 2006 model Yamaha FZ6N, N standing for naked. It has 21,000 Ks on the clock and it is bone stock as it came from the factory in 2006. So yeah, I'm just going to take it for a quick blast today just to see what it feels like, how it's sort of held up I guess for an older bike, being it is 2006 now. Technology has moved forward and all that, so yeah, it should be interesting. And it's definitely a bike on a budget, if that's what you're looking for, because I know he picked this thing up. Ooh, dirt cheap. I think he ended up paying about $3,000 for this bike, and I've just gone the fucking wrong way. So yeah, he ended up paying about $3,000 for this bike, which for a bike of what it is, 600 cc's, Yamaha, good reliable brands, in pretty good condition considering it's 2006. There's a few scuffs and dings here and there, but all in all, good nick. 20,000 Ks on the clock. So it puts out a bit of power, 98 horsepower stock as it sits. Let's gear it down a bit. Yeah, she's a screamer, that's for sure. It's just so bizarre to go from a twin onto an inline four, but man, it just does my head in. I'm so used to all the power just being there at the bottom. And I must say, like, the way this bike is at the moment, it's actually surprisingly torquey down low. A lot more than what I expect from the 600. If you want something to sort of to zip around on, and there's something that's a bit sporty, inline four, that puts out decent power, surely 98 horsepower is enough. Although I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would disagree. The only problem though is that it's just dead quiet right now. I can't actually hear anything except for the wind. I prefer a bike with a bit of a, you know, a bit of an exhaust note. I like to know what's going on instead of just wind noise. I have heard some online what they sound like, and they sound awesome. Just, I mean, it's an R6 motor, so it's detuned, so it's going to sound good. I remember coming from my GSXR, it didn't have this sort of pull down low, and this one, yeah, talk about usable power, heaps. Going a red line on this thing, it's not like going a red line on the Nuda, because that taps out at like 8,000 RPM. This goes all the way to 14, so you're actually hanging on quite a while to get the juice out of it. Peak horsepower is at 12,000, so you don't have to go to 14, but you know, if you want to hang on to those gears and, you know, wring its neck everywhere, you really don't have to. I'm actually, yeah, surprised how much torque can come out of a 600cc motor. I'm used to a gear indicator. I didn't used to have one of my older bikes, and I've sort of become lazy and dependent on them now that I've got one on the Nuda. But a gear indicator is something that I feel like is missing in this bike. That can always be remedied with an aftermarket kit. The display is nice and high. I can easily look down at it and not have to avert my head angle from where I'm looking. Nothing worse is when you're putting it through a bit of speed and you want to know what your RPM's at, and you got to look down. You got to do this the whole time. Don't have to do that with this bike. I can easily glance down, see the speed I'm going, and look straight back up again. without sort of missing out what's going on in front of me. So that's really good. Oh, it's nice and nimble. Can almost steer it with my hips. That's the thing with the good, with the narrow handlebars, you can really tuck in and get nice and tight to go around those corners. I'd prefer something a bit wider and flatter, to be honest, for straight road, but going around the corners, I can see why they're nice and narrow. It really does sort of pay dividends in the handling of the bike. And I think this bike is really approachable. It's got good power. If you want to sort of wring it out and squeeze it out of it, it's good. But it's not intimidating. It's got quite a low seat height. It's not too heavy. It does feel a little heavier than sort of today's bikes. Not that it really is that much heavier, but the way that the weight is distributed, higher center of mass versus bikes these days, the mass is really down low. That's the center of balance. So it does feel a little heavier. That's probably one thing that new players need to look out for. But nothing that, in time you can't get used to and adapt to quite easily. On the road, I can't really feel that higher center of balance, higher center of gravity. But just that really slow, like turning around in your driveway moments, yeah, you will feel it's a bit heavier. I'm 5'11". I'm like a bee's dick off of 6 foot. And this is actually really comfortable. The guy who owns this bike, Tom, he's probably about 6'2", and he finds it comfortable. Seat's actually pretty comfortable. It's nice and wide, so if you're into longer rides, certainly a lot more comfortable than some other bikes. This really does probably have commuter written all over it as well. It's comfortable, economic, reliable. It's nice and narrow, easy lane split. These mirrors are big. You have to watch out for those, but you could easily, slice up some traffic in this thing. Now, this bike will go forever. It really will. Bikes last a lot longer than their owners. Generally, people get really fussy when it comes to kilometres on a motorcycle, like it's just going to wear out in 2 years, but they really don't. Especially with these inline fours, they just keep on going. If this bike's looked over, it'll easily do 100,000 Ks. I saw a Phaser not long ago, and that's what this is. This is FZ6N Phaser. I saw an older Phaser than this, 170,000 kilometres. The only problem is either people start to neglect them, don't look after them, which with anything mechanical, it's gonna die pretty quickly if you treat it like that. And people just crash them. So I think that's what happens to most bikes. They get crashed, or they get stolen, and then crashed. If it wasn't for the vibration coming through the handlebars, I wouldn't be able to know this thing's running right now. Especially not next to that thing. I'm used to so much theatre when I accelerate with the Nuda, because shit's going off everywhere. People 2 blocks away can hear it, and on this thing I can't hear anything. But I keep leaving Tom behind, so I have a feeling I'm probably going quicker than what I realise. That's sort of a problem with the quiet exhaust. Well, I see 2 problems with it. One, it's harder to judge your speed because it's less visceral, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel as fast as it would if it were loud. And also, no one can hear. I rely on the exhaust to sort of let people know that I'm coming or up behind them and things like that. So What, are you afraid to use this part of the tyre?
It was already like that when I got the bike in Knob.